pediatric patients, and so I always am extra cautious and ask everyone to be safe. Well, so
I understand. I worked in the
yes, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you're saying like pop-up cards? Is that too fancy? Was
Yeah, or I mean, because I know I see a lot of the things that are posted are a lot of hand drawn, maybe some stickers, that kind of thing with the message handwritten and that sort of thing. And I like to do my message like I like one that I sent was a rocket. When you open it up, the rocket pops up.
hmm
And so it was like, you rock to the stars or something like that. And I want to make sure that I'm making cards that are appropriate and not perceived as store bought.
Yeah, so it's those are, it's, I think how it is, with some of our volunteers, look at them and they'll be like, wow, this is amazing. But it's the big way that we check is, looking for the logos or looking for something on the back, if
Yeah.
it does say like, because we do, I don't know if you see in our timeline or if you look on that, we do like try to post a lot of those of
Hmm.
like Hallmark or American Greetings, and we're getting a lot of
Yeah.
those, and we post those like because that's what we primarily check for, not necessarily by the level of quality,
Okay.
because we do getting a lot of amazing artists from around the world making cards, so we do get some top of the line ones. So that's
Okay.
not really
Yeah.
how we make the measure. Like this is too good to be handmade. It's more of like this is clearly store bought. This has a logo in it, etc.
Right. So I also saw on YouTube where her name was Catherine something, I believe, and she had made braille cards for you. She had taken some cards that she had already made and she put kid jokes in them, but in braille. And I had reached
Oh
out
yeah.
to you about the braille and not sure. And the reply back was that y'all have special needs at certain times. And I I would love to help making those kinds of cards if that is something that you need. And I could make them and that you can stockpile them for when you do need them
hmm
or something along that. I don't know what your needs are.
Yeah. So what is it? Catherine Kelly design, I believe.
Yes,
That's
yes, yes.
yep. She's one of the originals, so I have it memorized. So it is, we have one one of our, so to kind of put it in perspective, one of our like 200 plus partners has asked for cards in Braille.
Okay.
And so that kind of gives you like an idea of how minimal it is.
Yeah.
But then it's, Catherine is really the only one who can, has agreed to be able to make cards, or who's told us that she can make cards in Braille. So it's, it'd be great to be able to say, there's a couple different people who can make cards in Braille in case, she falls on or is, busy with
Right.
other things going on as well. Because it is, when we talk to them, how we got set up with that location is went out to donate an entertainment system to them based on Google, or donate entertainment system to another place in Pittsburgh, because that's what
Hmm.
Google selected, that city. And everyone was like, oh, you should go to this location. They're helping people and they're giving back to kids who are overlooked, etc. We went over there and talked to them, and they were saying like, oh, this would be great. We have a wide array of kids who need encouragement, ranging from like Spanish, Braille, English, so it would be great if you could make cards in Braille, like just including that with some of the other,
Okay.
quality cards that you're making.
Sure. Um, what else were my questions? Uh, Trying to think if there was nothing else is coming to mind right at the moment.
And I think it's too with the Braille cards that you're making, like if those ones were just making sure like those weren't holiday or seasonal specific,
Yeah.
just ones that could be used more for a long term, like in case, Catherine, or, we got a bunch of Braille cards at once, we'd be able to use those throughout and make sure that they always had some.
Okay, and those are mostly children that those go to, correct? They're not any
Y-
adults or anything?
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
children. So, well, let me say that as of now, they're all children. We are partnering now with more senior homes, and they haven't requested any braille. Because we're looking
Yeah.
into you know new senior home in New York and a couple other. But it's a lot of times, places don't request cards, or don't think of cards in Spanish, don't think of cards in other languages, just because they don't know we can do that. So,
Mhm.
these new places that we've been working with haven't said anything about, they'll just say stuff about languages, but don't know that we have, artists who can do everything. So they haven't
Right.
mentioned Braille or
Okay.
so
Yeah,
as of now.
my my experience, my mother's 97 and she's in an assisted living facility. And my mother-in-law was also in one. So I made a lot of cards for them. And typically there's not a braille need at all there. It's bringing bringing joy. And one thing that I found within the memory care unit, where my mom's in the assisted living, but the memory care, just as you, if for your information for future, a lot of them have a lot of childishness kind of mixed into their mentality at that point. So that's why I like to make the fun pop-up cards, because it brings them that joy that, I mean, any card does,
Hmm.
but that movement, it kind of has like a childish atmosphere to them, and they just have a different joy,
Yeah.
a deeper joy to it. So,
And it's if you have connections there, if you want to connect them to us, because that's something that we are expanding to a little bit more. I'm not sure if you saw on our social media some of the pictures of some of the seniors with cards, because it's something that we now, talking to our partnership in New York, we're figuring out how to reward them for
mhm.
taking pictures. I don't know if you've seen, but we reward our children's locations with the portable video game systems. For That's their reward for taking pictures. But you're saying childish. We're not really sure if 90-year-olds would
Right.
want to be playing with the Xbox, et cetera. So we are working. Yeah, we were talking with that senior home about like what we could do to thank them correctly for taking the pictures, getting the sign off and et cetera. And they were discussing not really don't really need more iPads, because they have a lot of those for their residents to communicate. But what they were saying was DVD players was what they
Yeah.
requested, because a lot of the families get TVs, but they don't really have DVD players. So they get TVs and they get DVDs, but they don't have DVD players, and other kinds of like speaker things. So if it is something where you connect to those senior homes and they're interested in receiving cards, we can send them those, and then we
Okay.
can also figure out other ways that we can reward them to make the living experience even better if they are starting to, take pictures, because people love to see where their cards are going.
Right. Okay. I'll get in touch with them and let them know.
Okay.
Um, what exciting do you have coming up in the future?
We have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. There's going to be an overall larger fundraiser that your friend Mei, she's going to be one of the people who are leading it. And it's
Mhm.
going to be a lot of different things, some different raffles, other things that are going to be taking place. And the main thing will be action, like making cards at that event, but then also raffling off all kinds of different giveaways, and of course some May stuff, of course some stuff from outside and all
Yeah.
that. And then there's other big things that are taking place, updating our website, and then we've been talking about it a lot on the back end about trying to improve the overall artist, like people's like experience. So we've been working with a lot of our volunteers about how to make it so people making cards can get notifications, email notifications that their cards were received, something a little bit easier, because right now it's all done through social media. But for
Yeah.
example, like with you making cards and sending them and saying you're a part of May, so for that, we often, we're posting it, we'll say May, and she'll get a notification, but you may not get a notification that your cards were received. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do with this new system is, you may say, include your email and say May. We'll post on social media May, and she'll get her notification, but you would get an email alert as well, just so you would know that we received your cards as well. So that's,
That would be great.
yeah, we're working on that as well. That's I think 4 p.m. is my meeting today. Going on, talking about that. Then another, I need to check with them. Another thing that I have going on, going to Kendra Scott either today or tomorrow to pick up some jewelry that we have that jewelry drive, and that's where it's
Yeah.
going to be, picking up the jewelry and then going to ship that to our different domestic violence shelters to get those to the women who we're encouraging. So that's taking place this week as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Then
Busy, busy, busy.
yeah, also we're working on rolling out the newsletter. So not sure if you already sent that in or included your email address, but if you wanted to be a part of that newsletter, that will be touching base on
Okay.
the stuff that we have coming up and talking on some of our top cards, top artists, and other newsworthy things we have going on. You can always be a part of that newsletter. We're providing updates on that.
Okay. I'll make sure. I think I did sign up for that, but I'll go back and verify that.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay, and we see. Anne, did you have any specific questions before we went through just kind of overview background or? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yep.
Uh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
All right, great. One question is, you talked about different groups. Seniors, now there's a link on your site to another senior group. Are you competing? Are you working with that senior group?
We're not competing. We don't have any competitions. We're all teamwork here. So not sure which group you're referring to.
It was just, if you hang on, it's just working on it. Hang on just a sec. Bring smiles to seniors. There's a link on your page for Bring Smiles to Seniors. Not aware of that?
There's I know we have one. Is it on our participants tab?
Yeah.
There's one for the, I think should be like Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly.
I didn't see that one.
Was it on the so it was on the,
Yeah, I've sent some cards to you before, so your site's where I went, but normally you wouldn't take seniors. They also take faith-based, which I'm interested in, and I can't do that to yours. So I was trying to get some, to spread the different kinds of cards that I make.
okay.
So they take faith-based as well.
Yeah, so on our I'm looking on our participants tab right now, and I'm not seeing that logo on the participants.
On the left-hand side, there were like 3 links. I can't remember.
On the left-hand side of the home page. So this, just to confirm,
it could be the blog. It could be on the blog.
on the blog page.
I will send it to you. How about that afterwards?
Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, let me do that. Okay, but anyway, I was trying to find, I've got a lot of stamps that are faith-based, and I wanted to try to use those on my cards.
Okay. So in terms of faith-based, so that's kind of what we were, talking about earlier. So in terms of like the same thing with the Braille. So we have, we're partnering with over, 200 different locations. And one of our locations said they wanted Braille, but it's, those are valuable. And it's the
Well,
same,
you're doing more than just kids' cards now.
yes.
Okay, so you've broadened your horizons a lot since I was last involved in it. So the seniors is a big deal. Are you doing veterans as well?
Yep.
Okay. All right, then I'll just keep going to you guys.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, and it's like if you look up, like we've been talking about it in our social media and all on there's some stuff that was posted on our timeline, like so like recently, with what's taking place in Texas, with the
Right.
weather, we have a lot of partnerships. There's a organization called Lifetime Wellness, and pretty much what it is it's in like an inner something that it's a part that goes into different kind of senior residences and brings more engagement and fun activities for those senior residences or for those seniors who are living there to do. And so they're in, I think like 15 or 35 different senior homes, primarily in Texas and Oklahoma. And so we connected with them to send them cards during COVID times, and then followed up with them because they have a strong presence in Texas with all of this Texas storms, and reached out and sent cards to 3 of their locations most recently. Well, sent them cards, water, and blankets, some of the places that were hit the worst.
So
And
are all of your cards still with no envelopes? You don't want any envelopes, is that
yes,
right?
we
Okay.
we don't need any envelopes. It's the thing is if we get envelopes, there's another because you mentioned like competitor. We don't have any competitors. There's another nonprofit that we work with that also sends cards, but they send cards to people directly. So if you send us cards, or if you send us envelopes, then we just send those to what we call our sister nonprofit, who does
Okay.
envelopes to send to
Okay.
their people directly.
Okay, that's great then. Those are my questions. I appreciate it.
Mhm. Mhm. You can just I'll go over some of our standard, providing some background information. Let's see. Let's see.
And do you mind placing your computer on mute, please?
I'm so sorry. I thought I did.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
There we go. All right. So some frequently asked questions going through here. So I think since we talked about a lot of the particular questions, we'll go through these a little bit quicker here. For this one here, this mission statement, pausing here for a little bit, going through it because there were some discussions. It may change. There's a whole blog post about how there will be no more changes. We've changed it so many times, but based on especially some of Anne's comments, we may add people of all ages. Adding that in here just so people know that we are, reaching veterans, reaching senior homes, making sure that's clear that we are we're reaching people of all ages, ranging from children, families, seniors, encouraging people across the globe. question that we get a lot of times, all the time, like people are wondering if we are slowed down or if we stop based on COVID-19. People who are following us on social media know that that's definitely not the case. For us, we've actually picked up drastically based on COVID-19, knowing that a lot of people are not able to, companies and individuals not able to leave as much, go out and about, so they're able to stay home and looking for volunteer activities. So we've been receiving more cards. When we update our website, you'll see that 2019 or 2020 was by far the biggest. And then kind of what we were touching base a little bit earlier is there's now a bigger need for the amount of cards that we're sending for some of the seniors and some of the children and families in Ronald McDonald houses who aren't able to leave. So pretty much we're reaching seniors and kids with pre-existing conditions, as well as helping people who are looking for additional volunteer activities. So we definitely haven't stopped or slowed down, but have increased our participation a lot based on COVID-19. Anyone interested in other ways to get involved and looking what to do is making cards. That's what a lot of people know about already when they think of cards for kids. Um, One of the big things is people are often thinking of making cards at home by themselves, but what we're thinking is trying to highlight this is a way to connect with other individuals as well, like whether it's doing Zoom like this, connecting with family and friends, or connecting with coworkers. It's a way to stay connected with other people. And then another thing is we're trying to do is encouraging more people to donate. Um, the all the ladies at the post office know me very well because I leave with very long receipts. People getting donate to cover that postage and shipping supplies. And then as what we were talking about a little bit earlier is getting some of the ways to reward our partners for taking the pictures. People love to see where their cards are going, but our hospitals and Ronald McDonald houses, senior homes, it does take a little bit more for them to get those pictures because they have to get often whether it's patient or parents to sign off or individuals to sign off to give approval for it. So we like to reward them and say thank you for doing that extra work. So if it's a entertainment system that can be rolled room to room, or an iPad or DVD player, Blu-ray, anything like that, we like to thank them for that extra work. So trying to get more people to donate to help cover some of those different things that we have going on in the back end. And then some other people in the Chicago area looking to see helping with the process in the middle. So touch base on more cards coming in, more cards being needed to go out, and then just needing some of the people in the middle to help us proof and package the cards. We can say a lot of people have positive, it's the thought that counts, are trying to put in good messages, but a lot of people think of, oh, making a card for someone in the hospital or making a card with someone with going through a tough time, and they make cards that say things like get well soon, feel better, etc. And those are not the kind of messages that we want to convey to these people, wanting to make sure that they know they're special, they're being thought of. They're not getting this card because they're sick, they're getting this card because they're special and they're cared for. So we're trying to get more people who are able to do some of the volunteering in the middle to help us proof and count and track these cards to make sure they're appropriate. And then as we were kind of talking about with the sales force, moving that down the line, these people also will be taking the email addresses and helping us put that into the sheet so that way we'll be able to send the automated emails to our artists so they'll know that their cards were received. And then number one of the most important ways is spreading the word. With Dave and I both being marketing managers, knowing the most effective form of advertising is word of mouth. So just people telling the word, spreading it out there, and getting other people to join in. And that's what we're trying to do here. And then looking into where the cards are being sent. First, all of these numbers are extremely outdated and we can update them right now, but then going to the post office next week, and they'll all be outdated once again. But it's consistently reaching more and more people. But just giving you an idea of where they're going is like for schools. It's a sad part, but I think the first place that we sent cards to that wasn't a hospital, like a pediatric hospital, was right after the Sandy Hook school shooting. And that was something where we learned about and was realizing that it's not just pediatric patients, but need to reach kids who are going through other traumatizing experiences. So I started expanding it to schools or school bus accidents. And it's been a shame how many there are, but always making sure that we're reaching out and touching those kinds of children who are going through those conditions. You know, hospitals, as you can see here, our main place that we're sending them to all across the country. And then foster homes and nonprofits. Well, those two will be neck and neck, I think, between nonprofits and hospitals, because um, Make-A-Wish just had some conversations with them, and they're talking about sharing it across, spreading it across all the Make-A-Wish chapters, you know, sending a message. I guess they have like an intranet or like internal email. And so there very well could be needing many more cards from that. And foster homes, nonprofits may overtake hospitals in the future. We'll see in terms of the total number. But with those, that's a lot of Ronald McDonald houses and foster homes, and increasing that amount right there. Then another one that's been increasing was senior living facilities. That's where we've been sending the cards to. That ranges from directly to the homes and also to other nonprofits such as Little Brothers, Friends of the Elderly, and organizations such as that. And then a lot of them was also special deliveries to individual patients. But through all those different kinds of places, we've been able to reach people around the world. And at any point in time, you guys can feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions if you have. This is a question we get all the time. It's up on the frequently asked questions page. And you know, I think if there was a way to make it automatically reply, but I don't think this is something either of you would be interested in. But are we able to sign off on volunteer hours? Is currently we are not. And I don't think anytime in the near future we'll be able to. But since we are volunteers on this end, not able to take additional responsibility to do that, signing off on people's volunteer hours, since we're not able to track when they made cards, how many cards were made, and how much time they spent. So we're thankful for people volunteering and contributing, but we're not able to, you know, verify how many hours they spent unless people are doing some of the behind the scenes volunteering here in Chicago, such as proofing the cards and that kind of work where they're actually here helping. And that was a call that I actually had right before this call, or some people who are going to be here helping with that.
EK, I had a question about that, because I used to work for a company that works for NASA, and we would do a lot of different volunteer work and that sort of thing. And because of the way that the structure was set up in the company's organization for volunteers, the person who was conducting the volunteer activity was able to sign off on those volunteer hours. Could that not happen? I mean, that you refer back to the person who set up that event?
Exactly. So that's what we have. Like, so when people reach out to us about volunteer hours, we send them a little sheet that pretty much says exactly what you said. It would be like,
Okay.
you know, can you sign off on my volunteer hours? And we send them something where it's like, you can set up your own event or set up a little thing within your school where you guys make cards on your own and you have a point person sign off on all of your cards, kind of like what you were saying, rather than an individual sending us card and having a cards for kids person sign off on it, just kind of having like your own group and you guys signing off on it. So
Okay. And
trying to do it more like that, like what you were touching base on, from what I understand.
right. And the slide back one, we have in the Houston area, um, several organizations, one which is Bay Area Turning Point, that takes in children and moms who are escaping abusive type situations. Would that fit into your nonprofit category?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And that's if you connect us to them, because that's who we I think it's Houston may I think we do have a place in Houston, but we're all over Texas. And
Uh-huh.
I think it's, sorry, other states, we're not discriminating against you. We do have we love all states. We got at least two in each state, but we have a very strong presence in Texas. But I think it's like Houston is one of the big cities where you have a little bit less in. Um, but it's with Kendra Scott, that partnership that we had where I was mentioning earlier, where I'm going to be running later to pick up some jewelry. What
Yeah.
they wanted to do was it's for everyone who, I don't know, May mentioned this, but for everyone who bought a piece of jewelry, they're getting that jewelry, we're getting 20%, and then a piece of jewelry is being donated to a location like you mentioned. So
Okay.
we do have a couple of those, and we're always looking to make more partnerships, because talking to my Courtney, my main point of contact at Kendra Scott, is saying like, she loved this. This wants to be part one, and we'll be expanding it to more.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So with this, in terms of the rules, these are more of our guidelines and recommendations. Number one, trying to, what we say is, thinking outside of the box. We already had like, is it our discussion earlier about, is there a problem being too creative, or are we going to think it's a Hallmark card or something? Like, no, we've seen all kinds of cards. We're getting cards from around the world. So it's, getting as creative as you like, making cards as beautiful as you like. One of the things we tried to, although our main message, what we always say is like every card counts, and you'll see on our social media about, this group has made, 10,000 or all that number. It's really more important is quality over quantity, because with our, I just mentioned, like with Make-A-Wish, for example, they are going to be sending one card to one child. So you make a card, and that's going to be pretty much the only thing that child gets. So encouraging people to, as it says right here, get as creative as you like and spend a little bit more time on that card, even though you see us ranting and raving about how many cards different groups make. So that's a big thing there. Another thing here is, as our number one hashtag, and what we're always talking about is uplifting spirits. And the big thing is what we're trying to encourage and remind people is that the people who are reaching are getting these cards because they're valuable, because they're, what we say is they have special abilities, and trying to get our artists to make cards that are strictly uplifting. And so this here is, wrote a blog post about this recently, trying to get people to avoid saying things like, well, if you write get well soon, we can't use that. But trying to transition from saying things like stay strong, which is more of command, to saying things like a proclamation, like you're strong, saying, which is more uplifting, more of a, proclamation. So not necessarily saying like stay strong, where I know something's wrong, I know you have a lot hanging over your head, and I know there's something in there, but stay strong, keep fighting, keep hanging in there. But something where it's just like, you're special, you're amazing, who knows, just you're strong, just positive affirmation. So that's what we're trying to encourage people to do, making cards with those kind of uplifting messages. And then with the next one here is, what's the kind of one of the baseline most important things. Sitting here looking in my living room, we have the separate bags, but is the materials that are used. The baseline, these next two here, is cardstock is number one, like the more quality paper, because what it is, the cardstock stuff that's going to last longer. We've heard stories of, you know, kids, you know, for me, it's phone, keys, wallet, mask. That's what I take when I'm leaving to go out the house. But I've heard from parents where it's like they grab their stuff to go and the kids grab their card when they're going to the doctor's appointment. You know, it's, these cards are not just simply something where it's like for 5, 10 minutes or for just one appointment, but a lot of these kids keep them for a long time. You know, there's a great nonprofits video, a video that we put up and we have on a couple of our different places where it's like you can see this woman is talking about how she's going to keep those cards for the rest of the child's life. And it's like based on that, definitely not wanting people to use construction paper where the cards are going to, you know, fall apart after just a couple of weeks or a month, maybe, etc. And then in terms of the last part with the fuzz balls and pipe cleaners, you know, especially these days where it's a little trying to be more sanitary and, you know, germs, etc., recommending that people avoid those altogether and, you know, just being as safe and sanitary as possible. Okay. And so then this, you can say holiday cards and seasonal cards. I know it's a lot of people are into the mood and want to make, whether it's, you know, times in December, February, you know, Easter, all those kinds of cards, but recommending that people do not, because it's, you know, the big thing is like we'll receive hundreds or thousands of cards in December that are like holiday cards. And it's like people don't necessarily realize that it's, you know, us receiving the cards, needing to let them sit for a few weeks to, you know, make sure they're sanitary, then proof them, and then ship them around the world. And based on that, it's, and then once they're shipped, those places need to wait for their volunteers to hand deliver them. And it's just not as an efficient process for that. So it's usually with those kinds of cards, they have to sit and wait for the following year before they're actually delivered out. So the recommendation is instead of making like a Christmas card, making a winter card, or just not even making a seasonal card at all, making something that that child can, you know, appreciate in April, can appreciate in, you know, July, they can appreciate year round. That's our recommendation with those cards. I know it is sometimes a little tough for our artists who are in seasonal moods, but thinking of the final output, that's our recommendation. Then this one, this list will always, always increase and lengthen, but people thinking about cards in English or what kind of languages we need. Just had a call with, or not a call, but some emails with the Ronald McDonald House in Fairbanks, or one of the Ronald McDonald Houses in Alaska. And they were telling me about some new languages that I hadn't even heard of that they were saying it would be great if they got as well. So that's something that will be, I think was posted in our timeline, trying to see if we can get people who can make those cards as well. So it's always trying to see not just English, but, you know, we'll be posting, keeping the ideas of different languages that we need on there. And it's, you know, if there's ever any kind of language that you know that you think would be helpful for us, you can always check in, because we do get people who know some language and make cards in that language, and it's not something that we need, you know, and so those kind of cards just sit around because we don't really have a place to send them, you know. So it's, we're not going to send cards in some language just to any place because our hospitals and partners don't really have that request. So if there's a language that you know that you're like, I know this, I would love to make a card in this language, you can always check in with us and we'll see if we have a partner who can take cards in that language.
Can I ask one more question at that?
Mhm.
Do you need to have an English translation on those cards so that the volunteers will know what the card says?
Nope, we don't. We tell our we tell our partners that in the letter that we send them is we proof all the cards in English, and the other languages we trust, like we don't know what they say,
Okay,
and we trust because it is better for thinking of the final patient outcome. Like they would love a card just 100% in their
sure.
language.
Okay,
And it is like some of our volunteers who are proofing them do use, like, there's a Google app where you can scroll over it and it translates for them, but that's all depending on the volunteer who does it. But it is better if it is not in both.
but what I'm saying is the card would be in, say, Russian or Spanish or whatever, but you put a sticky on a Ziploc bag that says these are all Russian or something like that. Would you
Oh,
like that?
oh, yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, including, yes, if you included what language it was, yes, that is needed.
Okay,
Yes. So yeah, if you send, okay, I'm sorry, that is a huge difference. Yes, please include the language that it is,
okay,
letting us know what it is. Because that's something that we get a lot of people just sending like 50 different languages and like, what language is this? I don't know. And that's actually what is right there on the top of my fireplace is a whole bunch of languages that we have no idea what they are. So yeah, that's if you
okay.
could include the language that they are, that would be appreciated. And oh, this needs to be updated here, but um, so after they're done packaging the cards and sending them to us, um, you know, this is kind of what we were saying. You're ahead of the game, but including a note highlighting the different languages. The big thing, overprotective, so asking people to include their stuff in a Ziploc bag, and then also if you're um, doing it in the different note or part of a group. Like, so if you were part of like, saying you wanted those cards to be counted as like May made it, like including that, it's helpful if you wrote it on the envelope on the outside of the package. Like that's what it's doing. So because we have like a different kind of storage way that we're doing it. So we try to count all of the May made it together, all of the, because it's a lot of the companies who are doing it now are doing it social distancing. So they're sending us the cards differently. We like to try to count them at separate times. And then hopefully everyone sees the big error on the slide here, but this is no longer our address. We just wanted to show you guys what not to do, where not to send the cards. Did all those Facebook Lives showing you what not to do, but this will be updated. So the Dave, do you remember the new address off top? Was it 516
Five. Why do I want to say 514?
North? I think 516 or 514 North Ogden 177. Actually, yes, 516 North Ogden 177, Chicago, Illinois 60642. I had a package right here in front of me and I was looking around. So yeah, we'll have that updated and post that on here. But and then this is a big thing too, is trying to get people to send pictures of themselves. Like the main thing is not pictures of the cards, because we'll never do anything with those, because it's us posting pictures of cards is one of our ways of confirming that we've received your cards. So we're trying to get emails like pictures of the screenshots of your video conferencing or pictures of you holding your cards. The big thing is wanting it to be more personal. So it's potentially, if it's the children or the seniors or anything, if they're viewing our social sites, they'll be able to see like, oh, this is potentially who made my card. This wasn't, computer animated. This wasn't some large corporation, but here's an individual who made it. So there was, was able to see one of our senior homes. There was someone who made the card and was able to tag the artist who made it because she's been posting pictures of her with her cards and sending them to it. So was able to make that connection. So that's the big thing, is like people posting pictures of you with your cards so that we can make those kind of connections and people can see the final, the seniors and the, not necessarily the individuals, but the hospitals who are receiving the cards, the hospitals and homes can make that connection. Some of our other ways that we're doing it, our main hashtags, uplifting spirits and every card counts. That's what we're using throughout, because the main thing is that each card is important and we're tracking each card, where they're coming from. And then all of you guys, what we're referring to you guys all are is, you're all Cards for Kids volunteers, so CFK volunteer. Those are some of the main things there. And then the other, one of the other main questions here would be notifications for the cards are received. For this, kind of what we were touching base a little bit earlier is, as of right now, the most efficient way is be including Instagram or Twitter. Those, because of those will include the handle. And when we post it on social media, you'll get a notification. So this is what we were talking about is, you know, you sending us, will post it, and, May or other individuals, they'll get a little notification saying that those cards were received when we post the pictures. But kind of moving forward, when we get everything set up with Salesforce, you'll be able to get a email notification with it. So we're requesting, if, in the future moving forward, if you're able to include both a Instagram handle or Twitter, however you would like to be recognized that way, as well as an email, that would be very efficient in a way for sure that you would know your cards were received on this end. As we were taught, two is better than one. Instagram and email is a great way. And those are some of the ways to contact us, some of the ways to keep updated with all that we have going on. We're across a lot of the different social channels, as well as, always sending us direct emails. On our website, we have our blog with a lot of information where we post helpful contents and different kinds of background stories on why we have some of the different recommendations that we're providing on a consistent basis. So, all right, so Serge, I see, welcome to the call and the meeting here.
Yeah. Sorry I joined so late. I meant to join at 1 and I had a meeting run 45 minutes over, which was very interesting.
It happened to all of us.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I'm joining like so late. So just I'm not sure if I'd like to introduce myself a little bit. So Sergio Diaz. So I work for Stellantis, automotive company here based in Michigan. We used to be FCA Group, which is Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, all those fun brands. And particularly, I'm involved in one of our BRGs, ERGs, employee resource groups, and it's called Link. So Latins in Connection. So it's a BRG meant traditionally for individuals of Hispanic or Latin heritage. One of the things that we're looking to get involved with is we have a pillar, or we have a team that's looking to get involved with companies like like this, to support, to help, um, and to really attain engagement internally, but more so help organizations that are looking for help. Um, So we've got, God, I want to say we're about 400 members. Um, Active is significantly less. There's a lot of people that say, "Hey, I'm here," and then it's like, "Well, what do you want to do?"
Understood.
That's just how it is.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I came here to learn. Was looking for some information. One of our members actually, I think I took a screenshot of the contact info at Cards for Kids, and I think that's who he sent it to.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have. I talked connected with someone on via Instagram.
Bruno. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yep, and you're supposed to be wearing Detroit Pistons
Mm.
because you guys are close to Auburn Hills.
We're
So
pretty. Yeah. We're right there.
yeah, so actually our headquarters is down the street from the United Center. So I don't know if that'll
Oh,
cause any
okay.
issues there, but
That's awesome.
you know, Bad Boys versus Michael Jordan. I don't know if that causes issues, but yeah, with what you're bringing up is in terms of the group and the committee, and intentionally went back to this slide, is can be a direct fit because we mentioned before and how we have on this slide here is, you know, a global presence. So yes, we're around the world. We're sending cards. Um, have at least one partnership with at least one partnership in each continent around the world. Sending cards globally, but a lot of these languages that are on here are here in the United States. I mentioned it earlier. I was like just talking to Alaska, around a McDonald house in Alaska, and they were telling me a whole bunch of languages that I had never even heard of. It's like, wow, okay. But as we, partnering with our Doctors on Recess in Mexico City and, our Ronald McDonald House in Brazil and all these different places where we're needing more cards in Spanish and Portuguese. So I think that would be great. Like with what I was taking away from your group and what you can contribute, it would be a direct fit. Because I know it's originally this helped me because we were getting a whole bunch of Spanish requests. It made me reach out to my high school Spanish teacher and pleading with her to make cards. And now that she's retired, it's like, all right, I need you guys to step up and hopefully we can make that connection.
Yeah, I think this is perfect. Again, I apologize I joined late. Is there any way I can get a copy of this presentation to review it with the e-board?
Yeah, it's if you post your email here, I can send you some of the information that has some of our background, inside information, tips to host an event, and if you guys have any specific questions, can answer that as well. But it's yeah, pretty much the big thing for us is getting, yeah, we'll send that email, getting groups together to make uplifting handmade cards for people, of all ages who need encouragement. So that ranges from, you know, seniors in Texas who are um, stranded in two ways based on COVID and with those different kind of power outages to, families in Spain who are going through, all different kinds of medical conditions based on the different Ronald McDonald houses. So we're all about making these uplifting handmade cards and sending them across the globe. And it's working with, we've been working with a lot of different partners. It's ranging from, uh, so I didn't get so it's Charles' iPad, but what is your,
Oh, you're muted.
Marilyn Sylvester.
okay, Marilyn Sylvester. So working with Marilyn Sylvester, she's part of a world-renowned team. What's called the Made It, Made It. So working with all different kinds of groups, such as this woman named May May, who's gotten all kinds of different creative people to make cards, such ranging from that to like Google, Microsoft, some of your friends at General Motors, all of those kind
Friends
of
is
people.
loose. Friends is a loose term.
Yeah, okay, we could say it's not Detroit, okay. Maybe we'll say neighbors. Okay.
I'll say this. It's good. We spent some time on the website. I mean, we're in, right? We just have to try to figure out how we can do it and how we can help. And considering that you've even got to mention here that you're looking for people for cards specifically in Spanish, that fits perfectly with what we can help with.
Yeah, that's, as you can see, that's on in the list, but then also at the top as well is one of the things we're often short of.
And then EK, if you want to go back real quick to the slide that kind of shows the other ways that people can get involved. So Sergio, some of the other ways, we have card makers. If you have family, friends, or people here in Chicago, maybe there's a chapter in Chicago that could kind of help us count the cards and prep the cards for delivery. So since we're receiving a lot of cards, we're going to need help to kind of go through and make sure that the messaging is correct, take the pictures of the cards. That way we can get them out to all of our partners. So that's another way. And then another way that a lot of other companies do it, we actually can create a personalized like donation page for you guys. So I don't know if you want it to be Stellantis or your, I forgot the name of the group. What's the name of the group that you're specifically a part of that has like 400 members?
Yeah, Link. It stands for Latins in
Link.
Connection. Yep.
There you go. So then we could create a personalized page for Link. So anyone in Link, you guys could make donations to that link, and then to that link, and then you guys can, and then you guys can, and then you guys can track how much you guys have given. And what we do is, as you can see, well, once we send you the information, you'll see that we also donate portable gaming systems to some of our partners. So if Link can raise a minimum of $3,500, which is about the cost of that portable gaming system, then we can donate that gaming system in your name. So Link, put your logo or whatever on the gaming system and then donate it to one of our partners.
Yeah, and it's, to give you some background, we'll keep this between us. So actually, never mind, this is being recorded and will be posted on social media, so I guess it's not really a secret. But this is all 100% biased. Giving you some insight is I myself have epilepsy and had brain surgery at the University of Michigan's hospital. And with this is, using these kind of funds and keeping in mind my experience. So that's why we raise these funds. Like if you guys raise those funds and get one of those portable systems, trying to keep that in mind and making sure that kids who are going through similar conditions can be entertained. And so that is, based on my experience, it's like, keeping that in mind, like knowing how difficult it was for me, what would it be like if I was a child when I went through it? Because I went through it when I was 20. Can't imagine what it would be like if I was 10, and if I was at my hospital rather than the general hospital, what would that have been like? And it's also, since I grew up in Michigan, we have a strong presence in Michigan, ranging from, Ann Arbor to Ronald McDonald House in Detroit, so you guys would be able to pick, if you raise those funds, like, oh, we want to be in Michigan, because we have places ranging from foster homes in the suburbs to, Ronald McDonald House in Detroit, all based on my connections through there.
Yeah, no, this is, we're excited. We're excited. Was looking for information to get involved. This actually came up perfectly. To be able, I was supposed to be free. So I was like, I had it blocked off and everything. I was gonna be here on time, I promise. But if you can share the deck, that'd be great. I'd like to go over it and educate and go over it in detail. But then also educate my peers into ways that we can get involved. And we can go from there.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. We'll send that deck over right after this, before I go see the people at Kendra Scott to pick up that jewelry. So I will send that over right away.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
No problem. Were there any other questions?
So I actually have one last question for Sergio, Ann, and Marilyn. We mentioned earlier that we will be sending out a newsletter soon, and you can sign up if you want to. But what I would like to know is, we have a lot of wonderful things to share about a lot of the good things that Cards for Kids is doing, but we also would like to know what type of information would you guys like to see in the newsletter?
For me, I think if you could include, something where you get someone who has done a lot of card making, maybe a Catherine Kelly or a May May or somebody like that, that their experience, not making cards necessarily, but how it affects their, how they got involved and how it affects them as an individual, what it does for them.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, we recently put together a newsletter, and that reminds me very similar to almost like a spotlight, just some more information
Right.
that can
Yep.
be almost attached to it. Um, I'll say this, something that we use to drive some engagement, take it or leave it, is almost like a goal tracker. Like imagine like a thermostat, and it continues to be filled. That's something that's just inherently visual, in nature. It helps people kind of stay motivated. Just just a thought.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, if if
And
if if possible, if you could add me to that newsletter too, it's the same email that I put on there. I'm very interested in learning more and being engaged.
okay, perfect.
With that goal tracker type thing, if you could develop that, something that just to change it up would be some, like 1 month it might be that the organizations and how they're doing, but the next month it might be how many Russian cards we got, how many Spanish cards we got, how many of this we got, and then so that it I don't know, I realize y'all are volunteers, and somebody maybe can volunteer to your organization that can do this kind of stuff, I don't know, but and just so it changes in a rolling manner, so you're not always getting the same tracking information.
And that's some of the things that we wanted to shout out is, how many cards we received this quarter versus this quarter 2020 versus 2019, just so you guys can kind of see the growth and kind of follow the journey. So
Right.
we're on the same page. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you guys. I know we're over time and I want to keep you, but thank you guys so much. And if you don't have any more questions, then thanks for stopping by and share the word, spread the word.
Thanks.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. I'm very interested in getting involved.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.